super excited to be here again with a repeat guest. John Wallace with Workbox is joining us. And just there's been some recent big news about their network alliance. I'll call it that until you clarify with Serendipity Labs and just a lot of buzz around that. So just wanted to jump on with John and get an update on Workbox and him and just kind of what all's been going on. So I appreciate you joining me.
Of course, yeah. Happy to do it. Good to see you.
Yeah, no, it's great seeing you. I haven't seen you actually since you basically hosted GWA's Immersive in Dallas, and so it was really good to be there with the team and it's a beautiful spot, and so that's actually the one here in the background. But it's really cool to just be able to connect with operators and hear what the latest and greatest is. So why don't we just start before we get to the network thing? We'll keep people on edge waiting to hear about that, but bring us up to speed. I mean, when we first had you on, you were talking about, the dynamic growth trajectory you were on, and you were throwing out, 100+ locations, and so kind of bring us up to speed. Where are you growth wise and capital wise and all that other fun stuff?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think, the goal is still to keep growing and keep expanding into major gateway cities where we can kind of recreate what we've done here in Chicago at our kind of headquarters. So, still full steam ahead on our expansion plans and, but, one step at a time, kind of growth. But, that's still very much, part of our plan. And this Workspace Alliance that we're doing with Serendipity is a step to kind of increase our geographic footprint, quickly, but that doesn't change our kind of strategic plan of continuing to add exposure in kind of major geographic, cities.
Yeah. So for those people that might have not heard the first one or don't know you, you want to get a quick background on kind of your professional background and kind of what you got, how you got into this role.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So John Wallace, founder, CEO of Workbox. We're 13 locations across 7 cities. We're headquartered in Chicago. We're a little over 400,000 square feet. I started the business in 2019. We really focus on early stage companies and small and mid-sized businesses and creating better connectivity across those companies to really help them expand. Background prior to starting Workbox, I was on the investment real estate side of the business. Most recently, I was with Brookfield Asset Management, hoping to run their global listed real estate strategy here in Chicago. Prior to that, 10 years at LaSalle Investment Management. Started with them in the US, also covering listed REITs, but then worked with them building out an office in the Netherlands for 5 years, and then running an Asia Pacific strategy out of Hong Kong for 3 years. And then prior to that, also kind of capital markets, equity research, covering listed real estate. So done a lot of things, but all in real estate.
Well, I mean, and I think it's such a unique background, right? Because there's a lot of people in this industry that come from a hospitality background, and to have that kind of financial asset management background makes a big difference. I mean, it's funny. When I think about that kind of background, I think of you and Convene, right? Ryan Simonetti has that really strong private investment real estate background. And so, same as you guys, they haven't been done too poorly for themselves, and they've done a great job raising some equity and stuff. Where are y'all in your equity raise? And I know that's a big part of growth is, the capital to do it.
Yeah, 100%. We're looking at raising another institutional round. We're in the process of that. So having conversations actively, and that's really just to deploy for external growth.
Yeah. And as far as growth goes, I mean, how many cities are you in now? How many cities you?
Yeah, we're in 7 cities, early days. And in another differentiation, I don't know if it's a differentiation anymore. I think a lot of groups are doing it where, we do shared economic deals. So of the 13 locations we have, 12 of them are either profit share or revenue share. So we really believe in better alignment with property owners. And, so that's one of our differences. But when we were starting the business, we were basically growing into markets where we could find owners that were willing to do these kind of arrangements with us. Some of those markets are 1, maybe 2 location cities. I think as I think about our kind of next leg of growth, we're really focused on, major, gateway cities where we can do what we did in Chicago, add 5, 10, 15 locations.
Yeah, and you bring such a unique side of the conversation because you understand the REIT side, right? And because that's a lot of things that hold up a lot of these deals is how do you structure these deals in a way that is, I'm going to use the word legal. It's probably not the right word, but that's within the rules of REITs, right? Is having income generating properties or businesses inside of that. Have you been able to, since you started the firm to where you are today, been able to scale differently because you now understand and have been able to structure those deals in a way that makes more sense? Or do you think the REITs and owners have started to understand that better?
Yeah, I definitely think it was an advantage early on, kind of knowing what the pain points of the ownership was going to be when we were structuring these kind of deals. And I'm fortunate to have, a great support system with my team very early. Built a relationship with Ed Ryan, who is the global general counsel of Marriott, who sits on our board. He was very helpful in kind of helping us kind of imagine a kind of similar Marriott management agreement model in the office space. But my CFO, who I think you know well, as well, was with me at Brookfield. Our general counsel was associate general counsel of Ventas, and then their spinoff CCP. Our COO was and CIO was the chief portfolio officer of Ventas, and then a COO of their public spinoff. So we've got a lot of real estate knowledge, and I think that's just helpful in discussions with owners,
Yeah.
one, knowing their pain points, but also it gives them comfort that we sat on their side of the table. But, I still think at the end of the day, our business is, driving demand through a brand and differentiation and things like that. So, that's still, the important piece of the puzzle. And, that's really where, we're hopeful that we're adding value to owners.
Yeah, and such a big part of your initial growth was takeovers, right? Takeovers of existing locations that had faltered for one reason or the other.
Yep.
Is that still kind of the goal, or finding second generation space? Have y'all been able to find a way to make some new, first generation spaces work?
Yep. We have on our portfolio, we've done, two development deals and we know how to do that. I'm a path of least resistance, low hanging fruit person. So to the extent that we can find an opportunity where we can get into a market that we want to be in and it's built out to the specs that we want, we will definitely explore those opportunities. That presents the least amount of risk. So, there's not development risk, there's not capital risk, there's not timing risk. So that's still part of our strategy. And there are opportunities around the country that still remain for that. But I think part of our business model is being able to, make growth work if we have to do, development. And that's, and we're in discussions for opportunities like that as well.
And I mean, I just think that's the construction price has affected things so much, right? On building
Yep.
out new space, how you build it out, and all those things. All right, before we jump into the juicy network conversation, talk to me about summer. Are you doing anything fun? How are the kids doing? You taking any fun trips?
Yeah, no, kids are doing well. We're like navigating summer camp season. So drop offs at 9 a.m. and then pickups at 3 p.m. So summer is always chaos, but
Yeah.
summer's been good. The weather's turned in Chicago. For those who haven't been to Chicago in the summer, it's one of the best cities in the world when the weather's nice. For those that have been to Chicago in the winter, you should definitely give summer a chance. So summer's been wow.
Yeah, so I tell people Chicago is one of my favorite cities 3 months out of the year. And so the kids, are they doing church camp or do they do sports camps? Is it what kind
Yeah,
of
it's all over.
band
Whatever will
camps? What
take
is
them,
it?
where we can get them all in together. I think this week they're at bicycle camp, but
Okay.
it's like my 4-year-old's old enough to go to all the other camps, so we're just trying to pair them up. So wherever will take both of them at the same time.
That's awesome. All right. Well, let's talk about, how did you get to this network? How this conversation start with Serendipity Labs and John and, you know, talk to us about what this means to the company and why y'all decided to go this strategic route.
Yeah, 100%. So, one, I've gotten to know John, Simon, Trina, a whole bunch of their teammates throughout this process and it kind of confirmed what we thought was, very similar cultures. I've enjoyed the process. This process started probably a little over a year ago,
Wow.
but, I think we've both gone in kind of open-minded, flexible. We didn't try to over-engineer anything. And I think that really led to the opportunity that we were able to announce last week. As I was kind of looking at the markets and kind of looking at, where we could add value. Serendipity stood out for a couple of reasons. One, I think we have a very different geographic footprint, which checked a major box. One, if you look at our locations, we have almost no locations that compete with each other's location. Also, generally our strategy has been urban edge. They are more suburban, so they're in markets that maybe we wouldn't pursue in the near term. But also from a, member experience standpoint, we have, both very high commitments to our members and making sure that they're having a good customer experience. They also do shared economic deals, so kind of understand the ownership side from that standpoint. And like I said, I think it was just a good cultural fit as well. You can over-engineer these types of deals. And if you get into that early on, that, they never really come to fruition. So, as I was looking at, potential partners, they were kind of a standout. They're also, a similar size portfolio to us from a square footage and location standpoint. These kind of partnerships have happened with some of the larger ones in the past. Usually that's a one-way street where, the larger groups members can utilize the smaller groups portfolio, but this is truly, a two-way street where both of us benefit from each other's portfolio.
And what does that look like? Can you explain what I mean? Is it just quid pro quo? Is there some type of how is that network utilized from one space to the other?
Yeah, so basically our members, we have 17,000 members across that combined portfolio, and all of our members get access to, an aggregate 32 locations, 23 markets, over 20 cities around the US. Anyone who is a member within, either Serendipity or Workbox has that access. And depending on the size of the member, they might get more access in a month compared to like a smaller member.
And let's talk about your private office versus membership versus you still have some hot dusking stuff. I mean, how has that continued to play out? I think it's been interesting to have conversations with operators as to, you know, how much and the beauty of it, back to your being, more urban located, is I think there's more utilization of, I think, some of that membership and hot desking than there probably is in the suburbs. But kind of how have you seen that evolution?
Yeah, so I mean, we're still private office business. That is our core. That's what we do. The companies that we go after, they want private space. It may be nuanced a little bit, or our ideal customer is a business, not an individual, but not an enterprise. Usually companies that are anywhere between 5 and 30 employees. So, they need their own private space, and it's no longer like one decision maker. The people that are making the decision have to think about, where does my COO live, or where does my CFO live, or how am I going to attract talent? And that's been kind of a backbone of our strategy. And that's why, that informs the submarkets we go into, the cities we go into, the programming that we provide to our member community.
And as far as enterprise goes, there's a constant conversation around enterprise. The small to medium size, I think, is where this business overall had made its place over the last 30 years, right? So how are you seeing enterprise grow, especially again, based off of your locations?
Yeah. So I think, we do have enterprise. We do have groups that pay us over $50,000 a month in, recurring revenue. That being said, like I said, our core business is these groups that are, call it 10 employee type companies. It's a very exciting time to be in Flex. I think you and I know this, and we've chatted about this maybe ahead of the curve for years.
Yes.
But, so much is happening in kind of workforce strategy today. If you could, just isolate what's going on in AI, that is turning everybody's strategy upside down. We see, big enterprise kind of customers kind of revisiting, do I want to commit to a 10-year or 7-year lease when, I don't know if my team's going to be more, fragmented from a geography standpoint, or, am I going to take, 200 engineers and make that 10, or am I going to make 200 engineers, 500? So I think that's really playing into the kind of demand from an enterprise standpoint in Flex. There are, the larger guys with, bigger footprints all over the country, I think are really pursuing that strategy. And I think that strategy makes sense. The other thing that probably gets less press, but I think is happening kind of, and we're seeing that play out, is the amount of new company formation is exploding in this kind of AI kind of revolution, if you will. It's so much less expensive to start a business today. And the rate of, people that have decided or feel disenfranchised with, big corporates or have been laid off by big tech have turned around and instead of working for another big tech company, have started their own companies. So, I think that plays really into the strength of where Workbox sits in the market. And we're seeing that demand tick up an enormous amount. So I think enterprise is doing really well. That's a strategy. And that strategy makes a lot of sense. We have big corporates now, Fortune 100 companies that, I wouldn't have thought that, our brand would have attracted them, but we have those type of companies in our portfolio today. And in addition to that, a lot of small companies, kind of the engine of the kind of, employee or, labor market is also happening kind of in the background.
Yeah, and I think the smaller groups, it really help drive community and culture, right? I mean, because I mean the larger corporations kind of already have theirs, and so the smaller ones become such a major part of the culture of each location.
Yeah, I think it's like, we've been talking about this since we've known each other. I do think that it's important to differentiate your brand and really focus on a subset. You're right. I mean, when I worked at Brookfield, they wanted to lock us in a room and have us talk to nobody, unless obviously it's for business development
Yeah.
reasons. But, when you're a smaller company, your network, who you get to connect with, that makes a big difference from a business development standpoint. And I think, that definitely contributes to the culture of an individual community or location at one of our centers. So, we're really focused on that customer. That customer wants to know their neighbors. That's like the survey result that we always get.
Yeah.
And we try to facilitate that. If we were focused on big corporations, they're more focused on, security, access. It's kind of the opposite of what,
Right.
we're trying to do. That's a generalization. There are definitely companies that are big companies that don't believe in that, but generally as you grow, your kind of desire to kind of mingle with other companies becomes less.
Yeah, and I'm going to go back to one of the topics you brought up, which we're all thinking about and talking about, right? So even for the GWA conference coming up in Denver in September, we're actually typically we do like a operator track and an owner track, right? So, what's the owner of the business doing, and then how does their team? But this year we've decided we're going to do an AI track. So you're going to get the option of choosing between an AI a breakout versus an operational breakout, right? And so because there's so many different ways that AI can be utilized, how are y'all at Workbox using AI to help create efficiencies and run the business overall?
Yeah, I mean, I think everywhere we can is probably the answer. I still consider myself kind of old school and kind of growing up in like investment management where, kind of set in our ways. And I have a very entrepreneurial team that, has been pushing kind of technological innovation throughout our business. And, I've seen it happen. Also, there's a lot of bespoke kind of, new companies coming up in our sector that are doing things very in utilizing AI, Unity, FlexSpace AI, that are doing some really cool things that make it easy to plug and play and kind of test the water. So yeah, I think we're utilizing it wherever we can. We're utilizing it for, inbound sales. We're looking about utilizing it for dynamic pricing. We're also doing a huge data enablement project where we're, improving the way our systems talk to each other. Because at the end of the day, the more we understand about our customer, how they're segmented, who they are, and how we can service them, the better we're going to be as operators. So, I mean, there are some, I could talk, we could make this whole call about the opportunities that we're seeing from an AI standpoint, but we're really utilizing it front of house, back of house, pretty much everywhere we can because it's really powerful and we're strong believers that that it is the future.
Yeah, and I think, I mean, the hardest part for an industry like ours is we have to remember that people are what what drives it, right? The hospitality side, the real concierge type touch that people want, right? Is, and I tell people that a machine can't deliver that, right? I mean, there is no empathy, there is no love, there is none of those things, right? And I go back with people sometimes, we're like, well, they can learn that. And I'm like, can they really though? And so I think there's a touch that you and your team bring to your client base that can't be replaced.
100%. And I would say, I mean, we've had, I think as all the headlines were like AI comes and jobs are lost, we don't see it like that. And even like in our last town hall, that was something I addressed. Like, I actually see AI as like an enormous power tool that can kind of take out all of the busy work and actually allow our people to be interacting with our customers and our members. So, yeah, we're not counting on robots to, manage the relationships. At the end of the day, this is still a handshake or here's a coffee business. But if I can eliminate all the busy work so that, my team's not doing expense reports all the time or, like answering like password reset questions, then I'm opening them up to do what we want them to do, which is interacting with our customers.
Yeah, it's been really interesting. Like, I don't know, do y'all have Waymo in Chicago already?
Yeah, I mean, it's
Yeah.
not driving by itself, but they are mapping. They're slowly mapping to take over Chicago. But I've ridden them
Yeah.
in San Francisco.
Yeah, so they have them in Austin already and
Yeah.
Dallas, and it's been really interesting to see the glitches that have popped up. And Waymo's getting stuck in the middle of intersections because they hear sirens and and flashing lights and all kinds. And so I think that's the big part of it is AI is great, but it's still fallible, right? And there's
Oh,
still
100%.
there. And I think people are having to realize that. And the other side of it, people are like, it's so interesting when they're like, well, yeah, it is fallible, and that's why I don't want to use it. I'm like, well, so are humans, right? And so it's kind of you just have to kind of pick your journey, right? Pick your poison, if you will, of which route and why you're doing the things you're doing.
Well, I think there's a benefit of being, we're still relatively small is that we can take those risks and,
Yeah.
try new things and we can adapt very quickly. I do think, that's, you don't want to be Kodak in this story. So I think that it's here to stay. You can debate about valuations of these companies. And honestly, there's, I think even strongly like it's easy to create a competitive process or a competitive product in AI. So, it's crazy out there. And I think some of the valuations have gotten kind of wacko, but the actual technology, what it's doing is real, here to stay, and it's only getting better.
So, I mean, for those people, obviously you're incredibly well read, but for those people that don't know the Kodak story, can you give a quick summary of why you gave that example?
No, I didn't give like I'm not any different. Yeah, I'm not giving any like shares investment advice or anything like that. I've just
No.
but I do think that, I mean, software is, it's easy to create software now. It's easy to create, replicate, things that are happening. It's an exciting time. Yeah. To, be navigating all of this. So I do think one thing that like the investor community kind of misses about our business in our industry is that we're benefiting directly from all of these changes, new
Yeah.
company formation, workplace flexibility. But, they're still using physical space and we don't have, 1,000 times multiple on EBITDA that some of our
Yeah.
peers do.
Yeah, and I think one of the interesting parts, just touching back on that Kodak thing, is I mean, Kodak and Blockbuster are perfect examples, right? They missed the bus on, the digit. Kodak got stuck in photography and actual film, right? And
Yeah.
then Blockbuster got stuck with the digital side as well,
Yep.
with Netflix coming along, and I think sometimes people and there's still people that are very slow to accept, right? Or unwilling to accept some of
Yeah.
these changes. And, it's funny. Last year I was the keynote speaker in Australia for their Flex conference. And it was so interesting. There was people sitting in the audience that were questioning the co-working industry because they have 25-year-old executive suite spaces, right? Or business
Mhm.
centers, and they don't understand why, people aren't doing phone services anymore, or some of these additional amenities. And it's so interesting just to sit there and have conversations and be like, look, if you don't change, you're gonna be left behind. And I mean, I think AI is such a big part of that. I mean, we have people within the industry that literally have a board of directors that is all AI, that meets every single day and gives tasks out.
Yeah.
Right. And not saying that's the right route either, but I mean, it's just so interesting that you've got people that are unwilling to use it, and then people that are literally running their entire company, including giving the executive team tasks throughout the day.
Yeah, I think it's important. I mean, how we do things, we're really focused on incremental improvements and like dip your toe in the water, feel the temperature, put your foot in the water. And that's how we've been since the beginning. And that's how we'll continue to be. We don't want to, we're certainly want to continue to innovate. I think that's our advantage at our size. But at the end of the day, you'll drive your team, your customers, your investors nuts if you're like turning the steering wheel 180 degrees every other, exit. So I think it's here to stay. We're slowly integrating technologies into our everyday workflow. I really see it as a workflow technology. It's not replacing humans. It's just a way to make things a lot more efficient.
Yeah. And as far as you and your team, I mean, what drives your passion for culture and those things amongst your team? I mean, if you take care of your team, they take care of the client. So what are you and your executive team doing to keep people excited and,
Yeah.
and driving the overall hospitality?
Yeah, I think it's like I mean, just in life, our mission since the very beginning has been member success. That's kind of ingrained in anyone who joins our firm as we've gotten bigger. We've added human resources and things like that to really continue to kind of be a champion of employee culture. While, even though the executive team is, fully bought into creating a good employee experience, we get caught up with investment meetings and things like that. But I think at the end of the day, I think what drives people isn't, kind of title or, they want to feel like they make a difference. And also they want to see the benefits that we're providing to our members. I mean, I'll speak to myself, kind of the most enjoyment I get on the job is when I walk in and I see a member that's been with us for a couple of years. Maybe they started as, 3 employees and now they're 10 employees and they're adding locations or new products and their business is being successful. And I think, feeling like you're contributing to someone else's success is really what, gets me out of bed and gets, I think, our team out of bed.
Well, really appreciate you giving us a quick update on what was going on with the network and what's going on with Workbox. Are you any members of your team going to the GWA in Denver?
I don't think at this time. I think we've got a
Okay.
few different things going on. Yeah, I mean, we will be at the next one.
Yeah, we definitely need to get you guys on a couple of these webinars talking about what you guys are doing, but super excited to hear about the network growth. Like I said before we started recording, the announcement was timely considering we're having conversations with a couple different organizations about how do you grow the network and what does it look like and everything else. So really excited to see Serendipity Labs and Workbox kind of collaborate, and looking forward to seeing the growth of that and success of it. So congratulations on that.
Thanks so much. And I've been missed to say, like, I think the nice thing about this partnership too is, really creates a template for other partnerships. So I think both Serendipity and Workbox agree. There are other operators out there that I think could benefit that are kind of focused in regions that could benefit from the portfolio. So, hopefully this isn't the last alliance that we're able to do.
Look forward to future announcements. Thank you so much for your time, and I hope that you enjoy that awesome Chicago weather with the family.
Thanks so much, Gio. Great to
Take
see
care.
you.